Good morning. On behalf of the O'Neill American Legion, Post Simonson Post 93, and the veterans of our community, we wish you a happy Veterans Day, and we appreciate your attendance to our Veterans Day program. Especially to the students, faculty, fellow veterans, and general public. I think it's a great day. I think it's a great opportunity to honor our veterans in the past and the present. As we know, this is an extremely important day in the history of our country. And we gather today together to pay tribute to honor those men and women who have served in our armed forces. The freedoms we enjoy and sometimes take for granted have not been purchased without paying a price, the ultimate price. So let us not forget those men and women who did serve and who give their lives to deserve the freedom that we so greatly cherish today. So with that, we appreciate your attendance and your willingness to pay time and honor our veterans of our nations. Would you please stand? Squad, post the colors. POWMI's empty chair is a symbol of the physical assembly of thousands of American POWs still accounted for World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, Desert Storm. A physical reminder for us to spare no effort to secure release any prisoners from captivity, repatriation of all the remains who died bravely in defense of liberty, and a full counting for those missing. Squad leader, please post the POWMIA flag. Commander Hallback, would you please come lead us in pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Detail. All up, all in on me. Mark. Please remain standing. We'll have the playing the Star Spangled Banner by Chad Dean, the band director from O'Neill. Before that, we have an introduction to the Star Spangled Banner, please.
The Star Spangled Banner is the national anthem of the United States of America. The lyrics come from Defense of Fort McHenry, a poem written on September 14, 1814, by the 35-year-old lawyer and amateur poet Francis Scott Key. After witnessing the bombardment of Fort McHenry by British ships of the Royal Navy in Baltimore Harbor during the Battle of Baltimore in the War of 1812, Key was inspired by the large American flag, the Star-Spangled Banner, flying triumphantly above the fort during the American victory. The poem was set to the tune of a popular British song written by John Stafford Smith for the Anticritic Society, a men's social club in London. set to Key's poem and renamed the Star Spangled Banner. It soon became a well-known American patriotic song with a range of 1 octave and 1/5. It is known for being difficult to sing. Although the poem has 4 stanzas, only the first is commonly sung today. The Star Spangled Banner was recognized for official use by the United States Navy in 1889 and by U.S. President Woodrow Wilson in 1916, and was made the national anthem by a congressional resolution on March 3, 1931, which was signed by President Herbert Hoover.
Please be seated. Thank you, Mr. Dean. As we start our program, I'd like to draw your attention to the flowers on both sides of the podium. Thank Mr. Corey Fisher, principal here at the Public. Fisher, thank you and his family. Very nice. Again, the O'Neill Band will play the Mansions of the Lord, performed by the O'Neill Band.
The film We Were Soldiers is about the first major battle between Northern Vietnamese forces and the United States forces. The song Mansions of the Lord by Nick Glennie Smith, arranged by Michael Brown, is featured in this movie. The lyrics by Randall Wallace go as follows. To fallen soldiers let us sing, where no rockets fly nor bullets wing. Our broken brothers let us bring to the mansions of the Lord. No more weeping, no more fight, no friends bleeding through the night, just divine embrace, eternal light, in the mansions of the Lord. Where no mothers cry and no children weep, we shall stand in guard, though the angels sleep. Oh, through the ages, let us keep the mansions of the Lord.
Gabriel Scott, would you come forward and share with us the history of Veterans Day, please?
On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, an armistice was declared between the Allied nations and Germany, effectively ending the fighting in the war to end all wars, World War I. In November 1919, President Wilson proclaimed November 1st, 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day with the following words: "To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service and with gratitude for our victory." The original concept for the celebration was for a day observed with parades and public meetings and a brief suspension of business beginning at 11 a.m. An act of Congress approved May 13, 1938, made the 11th of November in each year a legal holiday, a day to be dedicated to the cause of world peace and to be thereafter celebrated and known as Armistice Day. Armistice Day was primarily a day set aside to honor veterans of World War I. In 1954, after World War II had required the greatest mobilization of soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen in the nation's history, after American forces had fought aggression in Korea, the 83rd Congress, at the urging of the Veterans Service Organizations, approved legislation proposed by U.S. Representative Edward H. Reeds of Kansas to amend the Act of 1938 by striking out the word armistice and inserting in its place the word veterans. On June 1, 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower, a 41-year-old veteran of the Army and Supreme Commander of the Allied forces that defeated Hitler's Germany to end World War II in Europe, signed the bill into law to make November 11th the day to honor American veterans of all wars. On November 11th, 1954, Americans everywhere celebrated our nation's first official Veterans Day. A Veterans Day national ceremony is held each year on November 11th at Arlington National Cemetery. At 11 a.m., a color guard, made up of members from each of the military services, renders honors to America's war dead during a tradition-rich ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknowns. The President or his representative places a wreath at the tomb and a bugler plays taps. Veterans Day is intended to thank and honor all those who served honorably with respect for and in recognition of the contributions our servicemen and women have made to the cause of peace and freedom around the world. We set aside today, November 11th, as a day to honor and recognize the valor and sacrifice of our nation's veterans. At this time, we ask all veterans present to stand and be recognized. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, thank you for all that served. I'd like to take a few moments to draw attention to a display on the south end of the gym. Mr. Kerry Hoster and Mr. Mark Hunt for their time and effort. I think it's very symbolic of what we're celebrating Veterans Day. I encourage you to walk by there, take some time and really look at that display. It is not just simply a display. Each one of those medals, those patches, emblems, belong to a American who served. The names over there are 54 Polk County veterans who died in World War II. So we owe them a great, great sense of gratitude. I'm from the Page area, and I wasn't aware, but I knew there was a gentleman that died there, but I wasn't aware that the 4 gentlemen within Page had, their families lived within a 3-mile square area. They were all neighbors. please take some time, walk by, observe, meditate, get silently, and give thanks. Those of the era of the Vietnam, 1962, 65, doesn't seem possible. That's 75 or 50 years anniversary coming up shortly. But Jake, would you come forward and share about the history of Vietnam, please?
An overview of the Vietnam War. Vietnam was the most unpopular war of the 20th century. It resulted in nearly 60,000 American deaths and an estimated 2 million Vietnamese deaths. Even today, many Americans still ask whether the American effort in Vietnam was necessary or whether it was a noble fight to protect the South Vietnamese from totalitarian government. In 1956, South Vietnam, with American backing, refused to hold unification elections. By 1958, communist-led guerrillas known as the Viet Cong had begun to battle the South Vietnamese government. To support the South's government, the United States sent in 2,000 military advisors, a number that grew to 16,300 in 1963. The military condition deteriorated, and by 1963, South Vietnam had lost the most fertile Mekong Delta to the Viet Cong. In 1965, President Lyndon Johnson escalated the war, commencing airstrikes on North Vietnam and committing ground forces which numbered more than 500,000 in 1968. The 1968 Tet Offensive by the North Vietnamese turned many Americans against the war. The next president, Richard Nixon, advocated Vietnamization, withdrawing American troops and giving South Vietnam greater responsibility for fighting the war. In 1970, Nixon attempted to slow the flow of North Vietnamese soldiers and supplies into South Vietnam by sending American forces to destroy communist supply bases in Cambodia. This act violated Cambodian neutrality and provoked anti-war protests on the nation's college campuses. From 1968 to 1973, efforts were made to end the conflict through diplomacy. In January 1973, an agreement was reached. U.S. forces were withdrawn from Vietnam and U.S. prisoners of war were released. In April 1975, South Vietnam surrendered to the North, and Vietnam was reunited. While there were many consequences for the United States, perhaps the greatest consequence was that the Vietnam War cost the United States 58,000 lives and 350,000 casualties. It also resulted in between 1 and 2 million Vietnamese deaths. On this day, we thank all of our nation's servicemen and women. The Vietnam War is a reminder of how great the sacrifice is that our veterans have and continue to make.
I'd like to draw attention to in front of the O'Neill band, there's an eagle, and hopefully you notice that on top of that eagle is the first day O'Neill band hat. Very significant. O'Neill band had sent that hat to one of the graduates of O'Neill, who was a band member, currently serving in Afghanistan, Iraq. That hat was flown in a combat mission over Afghanistan and Iraq. And that ties into our speaker today. Proud to introduce him. He's a 2003 graduate of O'Neill Public, joined the National Guard in 2006. As I said before, a band member. I understand he was a very good trumpet player. Good. 10 years of service. Currently in the Guard, stationed at Grand Island, taking multiple military courses and working on his bachelor's degree. Also completed flight training, qualified to fly the Chinook for the National Guard. Please welcome Jacob Coleman, please.
you. I actually graduated in 2007. I actually joined the National Guard between my junior and senior year. So that was a split opportunity to get my training done before my senior year to finish my training so I could actually enlist earlier and become a soldier for the National Guard. I have deployed twice for Operation Enduring Freedom, both times to Afghanistan, once in Bagram and once in Gardez. We were there for more of a peacekeeping and counterinsurgency to help out with the troops on the ground as well, to find out where the insurgents were. We mostly went to local areas in Afghanistan more for farming and livestock to teach them, the local nationals, how to farm and take care of their animals, where I was part of the security detachment, making sure those guys were safe. It was quite the experience. Got to see what was going on out there. I was one of the lucky few that never had anything happen to me. I just want to say thank you to all those veterans that have served. If something has happened to you when you served overseas and had something happen. And sorry, I'm a little nervous. It's been a while since I spoke in front of a huge crowd like this. But otherwise, it was a great time. I got to experience new people, see what it was like. It really helped me form myself, become a better person in life, I think, seeing how other people lived. Because they were still back in like the part of the 1930s on how they farmed and everything, so it was kind of interesting. So helping them out with that, and some people just want to be left alone and live their way. It was nice to experience that and bring it home and share that experience with others. More of my training, I kind of got into flight school. As he said, I graduated flight school down at Fort Rucker, Alabama. I was down there for 18 months learning how to fly rotorcraft. So I got to learn how to fly helicopters and come back and fly the CH-47 Chinook. I'm sure a couple of you have saw it. Big ones flying around in the sky, really big. Fun aircraft to fly. If you get a chance to go fly, take that opportunity. It's really fun. Unless you're afraid of heights like I am, it's still fun. I came back and just got back about a month ago, I'd say, and just got a job, still going down to Grand Island, progressing my career. Still got another 6 more years, which I'm going to probably stay in as long as I can and serve my country. And also for the National Guard, serve those on stateside as well for any disasters that do arise. A little about my school history, as we were talking about the hat. I brought that over on my deployment. Mr. Dean was a big impact on my life, especially band. I played the trumpet. It was always a competition to see who was better in band. You know, my best friend Jordan, who was also an aviator down in Arkansas National Guard, best friend. I wish he was here right now to also be a guest speaker. Him and I always had a competition who could be better than one another back in high school, and he followed my suit and joined the National Guard shortly after I did. And band, playing trumpet, of course you have all the different instruments. You come and work together as a team. No matter your Army, Marines, Navy, Coast Guard, everything like that, you always come and work together as a team. That's what I saw in band. Mr. Dean, he was a little strict on me quite a bit as he's relaxed a little bit. But if it wasn't for him to help push myself, kind of become a better leader, especially in band, you know, become the #1 spot, you're a little in charge, a little more leadership. It's kind of nice, a little relaxed, but I had a lot of role models too in band that were leaders to me, and just kind of kept going on, which led to my military career, becoming a leader, which becoming a warrant officer is a huge accomplishment for me. I used to be enlisted, served on the ground, used to be a squad leader, truck commander, huge leadership. Along with Mr. Dean, I had Mr. Day and Mr. Spangler kind of helping me out. Mr. Day, I know when we taught, we did a lot of diagrams and everything. The grid squares, making houses, making bridges, seeing who could, you know, just thinking outside the box, knowing what to do. It was really fun. That also helped me with my military career on how to accomplish a mission. Mr. Spangler, he kind of taught me basically following the books on how to complete a task, making sure you know how to follow instructions, complete a task, and also if it wasn't in the book and you had to fix something, how to think outside the box too and accomplish what you were trying to do. It wasn't always with the appropriate tool, but finishing what you could do and getting it fixed so you can drive on. That helped out also in Afghanistan when a couple of our trucks broke down, how to fix it with the parts you don't have and get back home safe. Another part was Customer Appreciation Day with Mr. Spangler out in the automotive. Making sure your customers are satisfied. That's with National Guard. As I stand here, making sure of clean presence, you know, professional, being professional, everyone, and taking care of our country. It's another way of what he kind of taught us. Along with all the other teachers, they were always a role model to me. You can always tell they have a stressful day. Some days you got to give them a break as well because they're going through tough times. They're human beings too. They make mistakes. So give them a break, especially to all the students. If you give your teacher a hard time, try and give them a break. They're there to help you progress, and education is huge in the military as well. If you want to become higher ranking, like me, I took the ASVAB for the military. I had a low score. I had to retake it again. I didn't always think anything about it if I was going to use it, but I did use that to join the military, and it's helped me out. I did have to retake it again to become an aviator, so I always stay in the books and study, because I know flight school is a huge deal studying. It was well over 12-hour days for me. Studying, you go to the flight line, fly, go back and study more. You study until you can study and maybe get probably like 4 to 6 hours of sleep and do it all over again. So I always stay in the books, study hard, be professional with one another, and that's really all I got. Just be proud to be in school, thank a veteran for what they have done, those who have served too. I mean, everyone has a cause, and appreciate one another. That's all I have.
Okay, but again, we thank you for your service, sir. Great words of advice for everybody in this room, students, adults. Please take those to heart. Amanda Brown, would you come forward? And Sheriff Paul, take a moment to thank you better.
Take a moment to thank a veteran. A Veterans Day poem by Joanna Futres. When you see someone in a uniform, someone who serves us all, doing military duty, answering their country's call, take a moment to thank them for protecting what you hold dear. Tell them you are proud of them. Make it very clear. Just tap them on the shoulder, give a smile and say, thanks for what you are doing to keep us safe in the USA.
Thank you, Amanda. I know we have a couple active duty gentlemen here. I'd like to have those and all veterans stand again, please. All veterans, active duty personnel, please stand. Rachel Wold, a teacher of the 7th grade class, as a class assignment, she assigned her students to write a thank you letter to veterans. I think that's a great idea, a great way just to acknowledge the veterans. So, thank you, students. Great job. Choir, would you come forward? They're going to sing America, My Home, under the direction of Stephanie Westerhouse. As our program draws to a close, again, I want to thank you for your attention and your attendance. I think it's a great opportunity just to thank you for those serving today and all those who have served in the past. Our history, our country grew, owes a great sense of gratitude to the men and women who answered our country's call and served between us and perhaps purity around the world. Again, we thank all veterans for that. Emily Morrow, would you come forward, share the taps? Right after taps, I'd ask you to please stand, and we'll have taps by Gabby Scott and April Miles. Emily, please.
We in the United States have heard the haunting song, Taps. It is a song that gives us the lump in our throats and usually tears in our eyes. But do you know the story behind the song? If not, I think you will be pleased to find out about its humble beginnings. Reportedly, it all began in 1862 during the Civil War, when the Union Army Captain Robert Ellicombe was with his men near Harrison's Landing, Virginia. The Confederate Army was on the other side of the narrow strip of land during the night. Captain Ellicombe heard the moans of a soldier who was severely wounded on the field. Not knowing if it was a Union or Confederate soldier, the captain decided to risk his life and bring the stricken man back for medical attention. Crawling on his stomach through the gunfire, the captain reached the stricken soldier and began pulling him towards the encampment. When the captain finally reached his own lines, he discovered it was actually a Confederate soldier, but the soldier was dead. The captain lit a lantern and suddenly caught his breath and went numb with shock. In the dim light, he saw the face of the soldier. It was his own son, the boy who had been studying music in the South when the war broke out. Without telling his father, the boy enlisted in the Confederate Army. The following morning, heartbroken, the father asked permission to give his son a full military burial. Despite his enemy status, his request was only partially granted. The captain had asked if he could have a group of Army band members play at the funeral dirge for his son at the funeral. The request was denied, since the soldier was a Confederate, but out of respect for the father, they did say they would give him one musician. The captain chose a bugler. He asked the bugler to play a series of musical notes he had found on a piece of paper in the pocket of the dead youth's uniform. This wish was granted. The haunting melody, which we know as taps used at the military, are these words. Day is gone, done, sun is gone. From the lakes, from the hills, from the sky, all is well. Safely rest, God is nigh. Fading light dims the sight, and a star gems the sky, gleaming bright. From afar, drawing nigh, falls the night. Thanks and praise for our days, neath the sun, neath the stars, neath the sky. As we go, this we know, God is nigh. I too have felt the chills when listening to Taps, but I had never seen all of the words to the song until now. I didn't even know there were more than one verse. I also never knew the story behind the song, and I didn't know if you had either, so I thought I'd pass it along. I now have an even deeper respect for the song than I did before. Remember those lost and harmed while serving their country. Also remember those who have served and returned, and for those presently serving in the armed forces.
You'd be very appropriate in closing. We want to congratulate St. Mary's Cardinal ladies for a volleyball appearance, state appearance. We want to congratulate the public football team for a great season, and go Eagles tonight. Again, we thank you for our attendance. Just as a show of hands, as you stand there, how many students or people in the crowd that have parents, grandparents, great-grandparents who served? Just raise your hand quickly. Huge, huge number. Great opportunity. I hope that you have taken that opportunity to thank each one of those. If you haven't, please do so. Again, thanks for coming. Squad, please retrieve the colors. Again, thank you for coming. May God bless you and may God bless America.